Hello. We're here with the most anticipated movie playing in there right now, The Miracle Season.
Man,
I'm sure someone was in there watching that.
Someone's parents.
Throughout, yeah, exactly. Throughout all of the things that go on in Avengers: Infinity War, I wonder what the Punisher was doing during all of this. Like, really, that would have been kind of amazing if he did just kind of show up out of nowhere and the whole thing was solved by him just cracking Thanos over the back of the head with a baseball bat. Like, really? That's all it's... Alright. He is that badass. My favorite part of this movie was... It was probably halfway into the movie. You and I got up to use the restroom at the same time, and right by the door, inside the theater, just like around the corner from the seats, there was a woman taking care of her baby. And so we go out to use the restroom at the same time, and neither one of us really says anything about the movie because we're halfway into it. There was already people like lined up for the next showing.
Yeah, like an hour and a half early. It was fucking... Like, there's 4 of you. You guys jumped the gun.
I mean, well, admittedly, we were there like an hour and 40 minutes early. Yeah, for the first screening. And we got our usual seats.
Yeah.
And so we go in there and you just go, I am gonna kill the fucking guy sitting behind us.
Well, after the movie do I realize it's a fucking, like, 12-year-old kid.
Uh-huh.
But still, he was with his parents. It's like, you know... You're in a movie theater, not your fucking living room. Shut the fuck up. Well, we're recording this, not doing it live, so you could put in a spoiler warning real quick.
Yeah.
Fast forward 30 seconds.
That's okay. I think I took longer than you did when you spoiled Force Awakens when we reviewed that. I think that might be a record. That might have been about 30 seconds into that review.
What did I say to spoil that one immediately? Because I know I did it on purpose.
Spoilers for those who haven't seen Force Awakens.
Oh, if you haven't seen it by now, fuck you.
I don't know. It was pretty quick.
There's a 3-month lead period, and then fuck you.
It was, I don't know, it was a little bit in, and you're like, man, Han Solo fucking died. No, there's kids sitting behind us who was kind of narrating a lot of the movie, and anytime anyone showed up for the first time, it was, ooh, that character, ooh, this character, ooh, that place, this place, that place. Although my favorite thing that anyone said in the whole movie is when Captain America first shows up in the film, the audience just erupts in applause and everything. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Laura leans over to me and goes, "Who's that?"
Oh, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Who? Which one?
What, Captain America?
Oh, because he had a beard.
I should have leaned over and just gone, oh, maybe it's Johnny Storm. I didn't know you were laying down back there, so I looked over like, wait, did the events in this movie actually happen in real life?
It's more comfortable to lay down.
Did she just sneak out like...
She ninja'd the fuck out of here.
When Sarah snuck out of the car when we were reviewing Dirty Harry that one time and she tripped. So... Actually, what did you think of this? You've only seen like 2.5 of the other movies.
Should I get up?
Yeah, absolutely. I said you're on the show now. You're allowed to be in the video.
I don't know what I'll be talking about. What I think. I liked it. I wasn't confused for only seeing like 4 Marvel movies, which I'm going to be judged.
You won't.
No, you won't.
I wasn't confused.
So you liked this because you were mad at Justice League.
I assumed it wasn't going to be as bad as Justice League.
So you weren't that confused while you were watching the movie?
Nah, I mean, I know what the characters are. It's just because...
Except for Captain America.
Only because he had a beard in it. But he really didn't look like...
Can I say what this was really funny? Can I say what when the Solo trailer started and you asked me what it was.
No, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah, you did. Like, or it was like 30 seconds into the Solo trailer.
Oh.
And keep in mind, you don't see that many trailers when we go see these, so it was probably your first time seeing that trailer.
I've never seen the trailer before.
And the 30 seconds of the Solo trailer started, and
it was like 30 seconds.
It was about 30 seconds
like
into the trailer. Okay, 15 seconds into the trailer, and you're like, wait, is there a new Resident Evil movie coming out?
I thought
What?
I thought the lady in the beginning was
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, that looked like her for a second.
No, that's Han Solo.
I was like, I thought there was the last chapter.
It wasn't even Han Solo. That was Chewbacca's wife.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, she's in that trailer. At least I hope to God it's her. I hope to fucking God.
I hope it's Grandpa.
Oh. So what did you think of Infinity Wars?
I thought it was good. I honestly, like, I think, considering... Overall, I thought it was a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that there's the caveat that is, if it was a standalone movie, it really wouldn't have worked.
Sure.
But I think we all know that. I think we all know that at this point. And I think they did an amazing job of taking all of those characters.
Yeah.
Making that work. Telling a cohesive story that built on the 18 movies before it.
Yeah.
And giving us a fantastic villain.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
One of the best fleshed out villains.
Yeah.
But the reason they were able to do that was they had 18 movies of fleshing out all the heroes beforehand.
They did, and they just do a really good job of writing the villain in this movie. We've both seen a villain like this done poorly recently with Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Where it's mostly a special effect, and again, it's a character who shows up, he needs certain items to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish. What they do in this film, again, a lot of special effects work are going into this character, but what they do here is they write him in such a way where he isn't just shouting out villain shit.
No.
He isn't just shouting. Yeah, a lot, quite a bit, more than I thought they were gonna do in the movie.
More than I thought they would ever think to do with Thanos.
And he was a little bit sympathetic. I mean, with parts with his daughter.
They show that this isn't just a two-dimensional villain who, again, shows up to just do evil shit and shout at exposition lines. This is a person who you see over the course of the film experiences sadness, mourning, happiness in certain parts of the movie. They do a really good job with this film, and when you're looking at his face and everything,
the mocap and the CGI over the mocap, I think, was really impressive. Like, you know, if Josh Brolin was 3 feet taller and a whole lot bigger,
yeah. Okay, I was thinking it was.
If he was 3 feet taller and a whole lot bigger, they probably could have just done makeup. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, and you know, like, just personal preference, like, that's, you know, what I usually prefer in a movie like this, especially after seeing fucking what they did with Steppenwolf in Justice League, which is a movie that I didn't even dislike, really. I just couldn't stand the villain. But in this,
the CGI in it was so bad.
Yeah.
It was ugly.
In this, with the writing, the effects, the performances, and everything, it's solid what they do with this guy. It really was a payoff in how they've built up
to this,
Thanos to the events in this movie. It was a film that it really started winning me over in the second half of it. Not that I was ever really disliking the movie, because I wasn't, but it was one where in the first half of it, like, I understand this isn't an easy job working
that
everything.
Many characters. They're setting up where they are and where they're going to put them in the movie. And even I'll admit, it was just kind of, it was like, all right, well, thank God they threw an action scene in pretty early. Otherwise, I would have been like, let's move it along, guys.
It's a lot of, like, now we're with this group of people, now we're with this group of people, now we're with them, now we're with them. It was a lot of that in the first half of the movie. And they did certainly have some humor to carry through a lot of it. Not not overly done, but they throw in some sharp lines here and there, or maybe an action sequence or something, or it's cool to see this character play off of this character because we've never seen them interact before. But really, for about the first half of it, it was a lot of that, to where I was like, this, I really hope this all kind of
gels.
Yeah, gels or comes together at a certain point, because right now it's just feeling kind of like a series of sketches.
I leaned over to you and I said they did it like they mixed the stories better than they did with Last Jedi, at least.
Oh, well, yeah, they do. yeah, they do. And once it actually does start coming together, once a lot of action comes into play, once
the events start cascading together,
Yeah, and you really see what a lot of the stakes are, and the darker that it gets throughout the movie, it becomes a very, very entertaining film. And it also it does get really bleak.
Well, it's a Thanos story, of course it gets bleak.
Yeah, no, and when it actually, because there is a lot of humor throughout the movie, as you would expect in an Avengers movie. I mean, it never goes full on like spoof or parody like Ragnarok or something like that. But the humor's kind of there when it needs to be, and then other serious moments come in, and it's just used a little sparingly. But when you're getting into what this film leaves with, it does get very, very bleak and very serious and almost kind of creepy in a way, in parts, to the point to where you're watching. Look, I mean, we're gonna end up talking about a lot of spoilers in this, but
let's just say spoiler warning from here on out.
Yeah, when you're watching like all these action sequences going on, all these explosions, all these fights and everything, and they're all very, very, very well done. It plays with your expectations a lot, in that there are a couple of moments in the final act of the movie where you're thinking to yourself, like, this seems like it's kind of wrapped up, or this seems like, all right, maybe, okay, it looks like everything's just kind of worked out. And whenever you sort of think that in the movie, they'll come around and just like sucker punch you in the back of the head with some really fucking dire shit that happens in this movie.
Well, it's it being, as a comic book guy, it being a Thanos movie and being called Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like, in Infinity War, Thanos basically kills, in the comics, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone dies. And so I think a lot of people familiar with that comic storyline were anticipating, like, a lot of people dying, and then the next movie is going to be how they bring some people back or transition things or reset the universe however they need to, which with the Infinity Gauntlet, that's a big MacGuffin that they can do that with.
Yeah.
Like, which is kind of genius after 18 movies, that now they have an opportunity that they can, to a degree, reset.
Yeah.
They might face some backlash if they go too far, of course.
Sure.
But it's, to me, some of the things they still did were surprising.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to end like that. I
kind of figured it would end like that, because knowing that they filmed the second one back to back with it, or the next one.
I love how quiet this movie ends too, almost in like a Heaven's Gate kind of way. Yeah. It ends eerily quiet, and it's honestly like, I don't know where I would rank this movie in terms of the other films, but as far as the last 10 minutes and the last scene goes, that's among my favorite climaxes of any of these movies, especially when you get into the very last shot in the film. Like, again, it's like solemn, bleak Western kind of shit that it gets into in like the last frame and the last shot of the movie. I mean, a lot of it, it's the kind of movie that I don't know how much I would be quick to rewatch it over some of the other ones, because as much as I enjoyed the movie, especially the second half of the movie, and
the other ones can tell a more cohesive story from beginning to end.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this one, I will, of course, I'm a fucking comic book geek. I'm gonna revisit this one as much as I
Sure.
revisit the other ones, but it's gonna be like Kill Bill for me, I think.
Okay.
Whereas I never just watch Volume 1. Mm-hmm. I watch them both,
Yeah.
you know? And I think when the next one comes out in a year, I think that's gonna be the situation where this is not a movie that's gonna be like, it's never gonna stand on its own.
Sure.
Ever. And that's okay. That's not the point of it. You know, it's like the middle Lord of the Rings movie. Like it's important, but come on, guys, we're waiting for the next one. You know,
A bridge film.
yeah, and to a degree, it is. It's a bridge between the first 18 movies and what's gonna happen next. And there's 2 movies in between, but one's a flashback movie apparently, and the other one's Ant-Man. So who knows what's gonna happen there?
Yeah, I mean it's a crossover film.
Yeah.
it's a big event film. You know, it's fun going to see these characters interact with each other, and it is cool that the places that it goes towards the end of the film. But there is really no lead in this.
I would say
Iron Man
Thanos is kind of the lead.
Thanos.
Honestly.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Like Iron Man's a big part of it, and he is the masthead of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Which I've always felt it's because it's Robert Downey Jr. If it was anyone else, it would be Chris Hemsworth. I think would be the masthead without question.
You thought that Iron Man was more so the lead
No,
in this?
I would say Thanos is, but I was just thinking,
Yeah.
I thought Iron Man might have been out of all the superheroes,
Out of all the heroes,
and maybe Thor.
yeah,
I'd say Thor and Doctor, like, it'd be a weird tie between, I think, Robert Downey Jr., or Iron Man. Thor has a pretty solid arc in it, and oddly, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, so do the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
They're in it quite a bit. I mean, there's a whole thing in it about Groot basically being a bratty teenager.
Being like a teenager, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But bless you.
It was like I felt it coming. It was like, oh god.
But I mean, it is. But again, like if we're talking about the protagonists in this film,
I'd say it's Thanos.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If we're talking the heroes of the movie.
Oh, the hero. Yeah.
If we're talking the heroes of the film, I mean, sure, you could say that one is maybe in it more than the other, but we're talking.
Everyone's got their
minutes,
part to
like,
play. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you could say like it's certainly Thanos' movie, but as far as our heroes go, it's an ensemble movie like it is, and the rest of the Avengers movies were as well, but they're working with far less characters than this movie is, so you kind of could like take 1 or 2 characters and maybe have them
Take the lead.
yeah, take the lead through the movie. And here, maybe this could have used a little bit of that. I don't know. Maybe at least in the first half, because it is a lot of like, again, like I said, it's a big crossover event film. Like it is a lot of this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens.
Everyone needed their time to shine.
Yeah.
It would have been way too long.
Time to shine, and I think too there was some purposeful like I said, they did some like I expected a lot of people to die. The way we're past the point of spoilers now, so I'm just gonna go into it. I don't give a shit. At the end, after Thanos collects the gems and snaps his finger and a bunch of people dissipate, like that wasn't surprising. I kind of saw that coming. Some of the choices they made of characters that were going to disappear and some that were going to stay, I found interesting.
Yeah.
Like getting rid of Black Panther there. It's like, ooh, that's a bold fucking choice. like right now, that's a bold choice. But leaving the character that's the general of the Dora, I can't fucking even pretend to pronounce it. Leaving that character from Wakanda, and another bold choice, but interesting. But some of the people they, straight up kill off in the movie that I have no doubt that at least one of them was coming back, but like right in the beginning, killing off Hemdell, like I know Idris Elba hates being in those movies, and he makes no fucking secret about it, but like it's like, all right,
yeah.
And then fucking killing off Loki. That was bold.
Did it really come off, or do you think he'll come back?
I mean, who knows with these movies?
He's popular.
Yeah.
He might come back, but who knows? I mean,
is his contract done?
Probably, but you know what? It all boils down to, in the second one, who gets a hold of the gauntlet.
And also, it's like soap opera rules.
Yeah.
I mean...
In comic books, anybody can come back at any time as long as there's a MacGuffin or a somewhat logical reason for it, or even an illogical reason for it.
Yeah. I was in this coma for 20 years.
But you know, like I said, they have this all-powerful MacGuffin that can rewrite reality. So I mean,
brain transplant.
Yeah. It's like there's no doubt in my mind that fucking Black Panther's coming back. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. That would be, whoa.
Like, that would be fucked up. Like, seriously. Like, you just had your biggest movie. And it's starring, like, an almost all black cast. And you kill off your leading, like, black man. Like, no. Like, yeah, there's other characters that could be Black Panther, like his sister that became Black Panther for a time in the comics, and that'd be a cool storyline. But, like, you don't do that yet.
Yeah, but most people's favorite character in that movie was Killmonger, so they'll just resurrect him and make him Black Panther.
They liked Killmonger because he was... You know, for a long time, people have said that Marvel has a problem with villains where they... Villains are weak. And to a degree, yes, that's true. To another degree, the job of the villains a lot of time in these movies isn't to be a complete villain. It's to enhance the character. Especially when you're just introducing characters, you know?
Also, they don't want to run into the... which I understand this logic. They don't want to run into, like, a problem that a lot of 90s movies had where it pretty much was just about the villain,
right? And
it very much overshadowed a lot of heroes that they had. At the same time, like, these Marvel movies have had good villains before.
I think some of them are great villains, but the other problem they run into is even if sometimes they have a great villain, then they do this stupid thing that a lot of superhero movies do, and it's not just the Marvel movies, is where they mirror the abilities of the hero.
Oh, yeah,
they do that. You know, the first Iron Man, like. Such a great villain. But they put him in a big metal fucking suit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, fuck, come on.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I really recognize that as a cliche then. That was the first one of all of these movies. So it didn't, when that happened with Jeff Bridges and the first Iron Man, it didn't bother me to the extent that several other movies on down the road kind of did a little bit.
But then when they do it with Ant-Man...
Oh yeah.
Which it does make sense for the story, and it makes sense for the sequences they want to do. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, oh fuck.
I actually know what you're talking about because that's one of the Marvel movies I've seen.
But I do think that Marvel, like, I understand that there's been what they call the villain problem, but in my mind, it's like, you know what, like, honestly, some of the villains have been really good in my opinion. It's just.
There's been
the job of these movies is to focus on the fucking heroes.
Well, they're trying to build a universe, so, you know, they have to kind of focus on the hero a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that you can find a middle ground between, you know, having a villain that is, at the very least, memorable.
Yeah.
And one that, you know, isn't. Like, you can find a middle ground between a villain that just completely overshadows the entire movie and one that's just outright forgettable.
Well, and I think Black Panther did a good job.
No, Black Panther really did do a good job of that.
Like Killmonger was an interesting character, but at the same time, it's still Black Panther's movie.
Yeah, Spider-Man: Homecoming with Vulture.
I honestly think they did a really great job of that in Civil War. And I don't think that. I don't think the writing in that movie on that villain gets enough credit because that character was. Yeah, he wasn't an outright, like, villain, but he had a backstory. It was a compelling backstory.
Yeah.
And like, he did more damage than any other villain in the Marvel universe to that point.
Ego, I thought was a good villain.
Yeah,
like, there are some standout ones, and they've gotten better, but a lot of the ones that we're mentioning, or a lot of the recent ones, they've just kind of gotten better, I think, as the movies have gone along.
You can smoke if you want.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting to it.
No, I was gonna say, I don't mind if you smoke in my car.
No, but even in some of the older ones, like, you know, until he became a big fucking monster, Tim Roth in The Incredible Hulk, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, he was good.
Red Skull and the first Captain America, I thought was a great villain. And did it, you know, they handled it well.
Yeah.
So he didn't die? Well, obviously he didn't die.
I can't remember. I haven't.
So
seen
Hugo
it
Weaving's
since,
back, guys.
Yeah, I haven't. Seen it since it first came out, like all of these movies, honestly.
Why was
The
he
way
on
it
that plane?
plays out, he doesn't necessarily die. What happens is the cosmic cube opens what appears to be some kind of portal, and he falls in.
Yeah.
And so it's explained a little bit what happened to him here was he's transported this world where he's just kind of trapped and cursed with knowledge, but no power.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I honestly thought that was, for me, that was the biggest surprise of the movie, was that whole sequence.
I was expecting Doctor Doom from Josh Trank's Fantastic Four to pop up. Well, that's one you should see.
No, I hear it's terrible. The new one?
Yeah, it's real
Yeah.
It's real bad. It's real bad.
Makes me like the one from 2000, what was it, 2004?
Fuck that one. Watch the
Tim Story one.
It makes me like that one.
That one is better. Like,
you know what? Honestly, like, for a superhero movie of that era, the first Fantastic Four from the 90s, the Tim Story one, is not terrible. It's not great. It's not even that good, but it's not fucking terrible because they got one thing right. They got the spirit of the Fantastic Four right. And honestly, that's really important in that.
I prefer the Roger Corman one, honestly.
Roger Corman one is actually, honestly, like, if they had made that with millions of dollars, that would have been an amazing movie.
Yeah, like, if I'm going to watch any of them, it will be that one. It'll be the 1994 one.
Not the one with Jessica Alba?
No, that's the
I know, I was
2003
kidding.
one.
I was kidding.
I mean, yeah, the 2000, was it 3 or 2005? I can't remember. Yeah. That one I'd rather watch over the one that came out a couple of years ago, even though the one from a couple years ago is a quick sit.
It's a short movie.
Sorry, I interrupted. What were you going to say?
Oh, I can't remember.
We're way off track. We haven't talked about Infinity War in like 10 minutes.
Oh, that's right. We did go see that.
Yeah.
No, I liked the movie. I did. It's a long sit.
It's a long sit, but I think, like, after you get through the first act, it picks up well enough that, like, honestly, it's... I don't see what they could have really cut. Like, they could have cut some of the humor, but, like, to get to the point where they were doing it and have it have the emotional resonance that it does have at the end, I think it needed almost every minute of fucking screen time.
It didn't feel like 2.5 hours for me, at least.
It did to me. It felt like 2.5 hours to me, because the first half of this movie did kind of drag for me a little bit. But once it picked up, it was moving along at a good pace, in that I was 1,000 times more invested in what was going on. But because it does start out pretty slow, and because of that, I was feeling it as the movie was going along. But you know, overall though, I still really, really, really enjoyed this movie. It does have a solid payoff to it, and once everything does start coming together in it, which was around in the second act for me, no, I very much thought this movie was worth seeing. I mean, God, the last 10 minutes of the movie alone made me glad I was there seeing this in the theater.
The last 10 minutes, just dealing with the aftermath of the big final battle was amazing. And way more emotional than I thought they would go with.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I was glad that they went a lot of places that they did in this movie. It's one where the payoff to it it does make me really, really anxious and excited to see the next one.
Yeah.
And the others, as much as I've really enjoyed most of the movies in this series, when I see one, I'm usually like, all right, cool, yeah, that would either I love it or I enjoy it or I'm, okay with it. No matter what feeling I have after it, I'm like, okay, I am glad to get a little time here between the two movies and everything. It's like, okay, well, I'm glad the next one's in like 5 or 6 months or something. That way there's a little,
why's the next one got to be in a year? Why's the sequel for this got to be in a year?
This one, yeah, makes me feel like that. Makes me feel really excited.
Why can't it come out at Christmas?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I feel about this movie, and major props to it for that. Any final thoughts about the movie?
I think people want to hear his opinion more.
No. It's your show now.
I'm in the middle, so.
I took like a month off.
Like I said in the beginning, I liked it. I think you should definitely see it in theaters. As someone that's only seen a handful, I enjoyed it. I mean, I wasn't really lost at all, but someone might be.
Yeah.
Watch it.
I enjoyed it immensely. I think it was exactly what it needed to be for what they're trying to accomplish. I think it's amazing that they accomplished what they did in this movie with as many moving parts as they had to work with. I think the Russo brothers are fantastic directors.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth seeing. And quite frankly, like, I know the fucking DC fanatics are gonna give a shit like they always do after a Marvel movie, but you know what? The DC movies have been fucking garbage in comparison.
I was alright with Justice League.
Yeah, but even
this is better.
Compare it to this, or honestly, almost any of the Marvel movies, and Justice League's not that good.
I like Justice League better than I liked Thor: The Dark World. And I don't even hate Thor: The Dark World, but it probably is my least favorite.
Yeah, but even the worst Marvel movie had better special effects than fucking Justice League. And Thor: The Dark World was made like 10 fucking years ago almost.
10 years.
Think about that. Think about that. That movie's like 8 years old.
Yeah, but Justice League didn't have Darcy in it.
Think about when Deadpool comes out, that whole joke with DC.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the Deadpool trailer.
It's just like, I honestly want the DC movies to be good. I do. It's not.
No, totally.
I want them to be good because I read mostly Marvel comics, but I also read DC comics. I grew up with DC comics.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, like, you have all the Marvel heroes you want, and they're fantastic, but when people think of superheroes, they think of the DC characters because they're fucking icons.
Yeah.
And I hate how terribly they've all been handled, with the exception of Wonder Woman, which was a really good movie until the third act, and then it turned into a gigantic, stupid pile of shit. And so I can't say that movie's as amazing as everyone seems to think it is, because I don't think it is, because the third act is so fucking bad.
The third act sucks.
The third act is so bad.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I still love the first two.
The first two acts are amazing.
Overall, I do dig the hell out of that movie. I gave it a very glowing review, and I certainly stick by it. And I recommend the movie.
And if I had reviewed the movie when it came out, I still would have suggested it.
Yeah.
With the caveat that the third act is fucking shit.
The third act fucking goes off the goddamn fucking rails. Yeah.
I'm okay with off the rails. But just being bad is not off the rails.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I'm okay with off the rails. Off the rails is fine with me. But it's to me, watching this after 18 movies before it and fucking 10 years of these movies, at this point, I honestly don't think, unless they start over from scratch, that DC is going to be able to accomplish anything like this.
I mean, they've invested so much into it so far.
They're not going to restart. They can't. But.
No, but I think it can be saved. I mean, I do it, despite the issues I have with the third act of the movie. I enjoyed Wonder Woman a lot. I was all right with Justice League. I didn't love it, but I thought it was okay. So, I mean, I don't know. They just need to...
I'm just starting up the fucking comment shitstorm. That's what I'm doing.
They just need the right people in charge of it. They need the right, and I think it can be saved. I absolutely think it can be saved. The DC universe.
It can be, but they need to embrace what makes the characters fantastic and wonderful, and not like do what they've been doing, where they're like, we're gonna make it dark and moody, and it's gonna be great. And the problem is they've already established so many of these characters as being dark and moody.
Yeah.
Like, I'll admit, in the Justice League movie, Jason Momoa was one of the highlights.
Yeah, totally.
But to me, that's not fucking Aquaman.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That. Nothing about what was going on in that movie with Aquaman is what makes Aquaman a great character. Yeah. And I honestly do believe that Aquaman is a fantastic character.
No, I agree. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. No, I'm fine with it being dark. Like, I'm absolutely fine with them being dark.
I'm not. I am not.
I'm totally fine with them being dark in the sense that at least it's something that separates that universe from this universe.
But you can, like, I'm okay with Batman being dark. Batman should be dark.
Yeah.
But Superman shouldn't.
Yeah. I'm all right with it. Like,
I am so not.
I mean, I get it, but I'm fine if someone wants to take a different interpretation of something. Like, you can be dark and still have key things that make that character good.
But they haven't done that.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. My problem with a movie like Man of Steel isn't just simply the fact it's dark. It's because I think you can certainly do a good... I think you could do a good dark Superman thing. My problem with that movie is... Well, it's fucking Man of Steel. I mean, it's not so much the fact the movie's dark. I don't have a problem with that. I thought it was a shitbag fucking movie, for a lot of different reasons. You don't think that you could do like a darker Superman movie?
Honestly, yeah, you can. You can do a darker Superman movie. You can do a dark anything. You really can.
Yeah, certainly.
But to me, when you take that tone with certain characters, it doesn't. I honestly think that the greatest thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that what they started with doing was getting the tone and the feeling of the characters right, and evolving from that.
Yeah.
And what DC did was they wanted to establish a tone, and the characters were secondary.
I totally agree with that.
And that is a mistake, because yes, you can do a dark Superman story.
Yeah.
But Superman at his best isn't dark.
Right.
And yes, there can be an effectively dark Superman story. There can be effectively dark Aquaman story or Flash stories or any of those characters. You can do effective good stories and have them be dark. But are you getting the essence of the character right when you do that? And that, in my opinion, is if you want to go dark, with those characters specifically, you have to fucking build to it.
Yeah.
You have to show them at their best before you can take them down.
And then I agree with you. You at least have to get the essence of the character down.
Right.
Or, at the very least, a good fucking movie. Because, alright, look at Batman. On the flip side of Batman, we love The Dark Knight. But at the same time, we had a blast with that Return of the Caped Crusaders movie that came out. I could go back and watch the original Batman series, the 60s series, any fucking day of the week.
And the weird thing is, tonally that's not right.
Right.
But
it's a good product, though.
It's a good product. Yeah, you can still, you can, like I said, you can make a dark movie with all those characters. Mm-hmm. But it's still got to be a good movie. Yeah. And if you want to build a universe and you want to do those characters justice, you have to get them right in the first place. It's like in the Marvel movies with Thor. I honestly think they've, and in this one to a certain extent too, I think they take the comedy with him too fucking far.
I agree. They toned it down in this, but there's
some one-liners that just, to me, they weren't great. And it's because what they were doing in this, and I give the Russo brothers credit for it, is, one, they're building off everything that came before it. Yeah. And they're also trying to keep with the characters the tones that the people are going to continue making films with those characters are going to try and do. Which is great. But at the same time, to me, the funniest of the Thor movies is still the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the comedy in it is not Thor's funny. It's Thor's funny because he's the man displaced. You know, like
it's like the fish out of water.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sort of when he goes into the restaurant and he tosses the cup on, he
I've
chugs
seen
the
that.
cup and tosses.
yeah, exactly.
That's
That's
funny.
hilarious.
Yeah, to me, that's the best comedy you can do with Thor. And you could do more of that. But, like, Ragnarok, which, you know, you and I both said was okay at best.
Yeah.
Like, they took the comedy, they made him a comedic leading man, which Thor's not. He shouldn't be. But the only reason I feel that worked was they built to that. They had movies to build to that.
Yeah.
By taking advantage of the fact that you, like, have all these grounded characters and then you have fucking Thor.
Yeah.
It has to be funny somehow, you know?
Really
You can't.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What's the raccoon's name again?
Rocket
Rocket.
Raccoon.
Okay, I liked when he kept on calling him a rabbit.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, I mean,
But see, that's the kind of comedy that could have stayed and made perfect sense to me.
in that part, he doesn't know he's being funny. Like, he
Yeah.
genuinely just thinks that's what Rocket Raccoon
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he goes, you know, like, oh, you speak Root, and goes, yeah, I took it as an elective in Asgard. Like, that's a quip. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you. Thor shouldn't make quips like that.
Yeah, like, Ragnarok came close to just turning him into, like, a cross between just a straight-up parody movie and Deadpool.
Yeah. And Chris Hemsworth is funny, and he
He's
delivers
very
those
funny.
lines well, but in my opinion, it doesn't work great for the character.
Yeah, I was with you on Ragnarok. Do you have any hopes for Aquaman coming out?
Man, you know, like, honestly, I have I want it to be good. I really
Yeah.
They're making an Aquaman movie?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out. James Wan is doing it.
Okay.
It's
You
coming.
might have told me.
It's coming out around Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
I
have hopes.
want it to be good. Like,
No, I do too. And James Wan doesn't make great movies, but he makes entertaining movies.
I love James Wan.
Yeah, like in my opinion, he doesn't make fantastic, brilliant movies, but I've never seen a movie of his that I wasn't at least entertained by.
Yeah.
You know, and Momoa, like, in Justice League, it was the best role I think I'd ever seen him in, where I didn't think he was just, like, a horrible, shitty actor when he spoke English, you know? And that's great, and he was obviously having fun, and they let that character have some fun, but he's just too fucking dark and moody, you know?
He was the best part in Justice
He was,
League.
yeah, he was one of my favorite things about Justice League.
I
Yeah,
did
no,
not like
same
that.
here. He was one of my favorite parts about it, too. It's just, I have concerns about the tone that they've already established for that character. If they can make that work in the Aquaman movie, I fucking hope they do.
I mean, he wasn't. Even in Justice League, I thought he was more of a comic relief in that a little bit. More so that versus, like, how just brooding and depressing they made Superman in, like, Man of Steel,
Yeah.
or a character like that. At least I could see it carrying a movie, because, I mean, they gave him enough funny material to work with. And,
and it's just one of those things that Aquaman, I understand that that's going to be a really hard character for them to, like,
Sure.
sell. Like, you know, back when Entourage started out, that was the joke, that he would become famous for making an Aquaman movie.
Uh-huh.
Because it's Aquaman.
Yeah.
Like, how does
I like Aquaman. Like,
I do too. I love the character Aquaman. Like, Aquaman, like, when he's done correctly, is just an absolute badass, but in the best way, that he's an absolute badass, but he's not like, I'm a badass. He's just like, yeah, I'm here. You know? Like, motherfucker doesn't ride around on seahorses and shit, you know? Like, that was a bad cartoon from the 60s.
That's what I always think of when I...
Him riding around on seahorses.
Yeah, like, I know
but-
that's, like, what people kind of think in my age about Aquaman.
I think that's what
That's what a lot of people have.
Yeah.
The Super Friends destroyed Aquaman for a lot of people.
Just, like, swimming around with flippers. And I like those pictures of... This is kind of off topic, but those pictures of Spider-Man...
Sitting
out
at
of
the
context.
desk.
Yeah, just
Oh,
out of context.
I love the Spider-Man meme where he's sitting behind the one where he's in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
Those crack me up. Oh my fucking god.
That was off topic, but it just
No.
reminded me of that.
We're rambling at the
We
we're
are.
well
You
past
are-
the review.
You are. After the weekend this movie came out, you are just sitting back there listening to us ramble. You are every wife and girlfriend at a bar this weekend.
Well, I just have a live show, of midnight screenings. I'm sure this is like more of a Dave review, so I'm just kind of listening.
Well, I'm going wildly off topic too, just because I got shit to say about the state of comic book movies.
I got shit to say, god damn it. Alright, well, there's nothing else out this weekend.
and
Or nothing that came here, at least. Traffic didn't come to Springfield last weekend, and I don't think it's playing in Springfield this weekend either. So...
like, quite honestly, if you're gonna go see a movie this weekend, and this is the one to see, well, if you want something, different, go see A Quiet Place.
Or Sergeant Stubby.
Sergeant Stubby was Isle of Dogs is really fucking good.
There's other options out there if you don't want to see this movie, but quite frankly, see this movie.
I feel sorry for every theater showing A Quiet Place where the theater room is right next to the IMAX screening of this movie.
Well,
Man.
you know what? Honestly, most theaters that have IMAXs were built better than this fucking shit. Like, our IMAX is a fucking travesty. Like, they put in all those fucking speakers. They didn't move the lights, so there's always extra lights shining on the giant screen, and it pisses me off. There's 3 in our IMAX theater, they just put up the screen and the speakers and changed the seats. They didn't do anything else. They didn't extra soundproof the walls like they fucking should have. And they left these 3 fucking spotlights that when it was a normal theater were 10, 15 feet above the screen. So it just gave a little bit of light to where things were. But in our IMAX theater, they're right level with the screen. So in a dark scene in a movie, there's these 3 spotlights on the fucking screen, and it kills me.
Did you need to promote something, or did I miss that?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, oops.
People probably left the video by now. They're like, oh, they're just...
Yeah. For anyone who's still watching.
No. The DC fanboys are still angrily typing things.
Yeah. For anyone who's still watching, I'm gonna be at Wizard World. I'm gonna be at 3 cons. I'm gonna be at 3 cons on in June. The first weekend of June, I'm at Wizard World Des Moines. The second weekend of June, I'm at Wizard World Columbus, and then Planet Funk Con in Moline, Illinois.
What is that one?
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I think that might be a first year or something.
Sounds like it's like a disco con.
Oh, I hope it is. Hell yeah. Yeah, now it makes sense. I'm a guess. I'm gonna be
right now.
I'm gonna be there at that one. So I might actually snip this and put it at the beginning of the video. So all right.
Planet Funk Con.
You're gonna be gone on my birthday.
And then we're back towards the end.
I said you'll be gone on my birthday.
Don't worry, honey. I'll bring you back a Kane Hodder autograph.
Or
Jesus, you don't have enough of those just lying around?
Probably. Here, let's take my Jason Goes to Hell VHS. Say it.